Then to okay. So that's taken forever for everyone. Okay. Okay, cool. Can everyone see that just to make sure everyone can see what everyone just puts like a thumbs up or sure everyone can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Sheik, you just come in. We've just done this here, so feel free to use the chat box just to sort of answer these sort of questions here. And we'll sort of add that into our notes at the end. So cool. So everyone, welcome to the Dan PC workshop. I know you've been patiently waiting. And what you can expect from today, I'm just going to go through a few things. So I just spoke to you about naming a hobby, what you hope to get out of the session. I'm going to get involved in this as well, just so you get to know a bit about me. So what you can see here is me going through a grueling time in a Hackney Half Marathon. So I love jogging. That's something that I do. I love working out. But for me, what I hope to get out of the session is to ensure that we cover your pain points. So a lot of things that you may have said is more tips on your CV, get entry level role, understand what's out there, opportunities. Sometimes the biggest problem that a lot of young creators do sort of go through is not knowing what's out there. So the access points for media, not knowing who's recruiting, all this opportunities. So we're ensuring that we are able to allow you to overcome those pain points and ensure that you get to that next step of your career. Just to kind of showcase you what you can expect from today. Dana PCV Workshop's been going on for now a year. We started last year, October. We've had many success stories. I'm not going to ruin it and let you know what that is. You will see it throughout the session as we go along. But we've had a lot of young people from all walks of life join the session online or in person. And, young people have been able to just been able to kind of tap into their areas of media. So that can be social media, marketing, film and TV, hair, makeup, etc. This goes on. What you can see here, we're looking into the profile of the CV, so ensuring that we help you create a profile. We're looking at starting from scratch. So some of you may have come in today and it could be your first time into media, you're doing that transition. So we're going to look into that area as well. We're looking to your key skills and also the cover letter as well, because that's obviously always important when you have to send a CV. 9 times out of 10, you have to send a cover letter. So we ensure that we cover that very briefly, and you'll be able to get some tools and resources post session as well. Does that all make sense to everyone? All good? Yeah, making sure, and I can move on to the next bit. Please feel free to use the chat box. And also, as we're recording now, it's completely up to you, but I want to ensure we make this very, the networking side of things is there. So feel free to use your cameras, put your cameras on. And obviously, I'll be going around the room to ask volunteers to ensure that you all get involved in the session. Okay, cool. All right, so let's get into what we're going to go into first. So the first bit is called the profile, which this is what makes the profile, and we're going to look into the opener line, the meet of the profile, and the killer line. So these three areas make the CV profile, and we're going to tap into this area here and show you a before and after of a CV of one of our young people. Get you to sort of like dissect it, look at it, and think about, what sort of differences have been made within that CV, and then actually go around the room briefly and think about your opener line. Then we'll get into breakout rooms to kind of discuss that a bit more. So I'm just going to go into the open line bit. Don't get distracted by the GIF. But what you can see here is just brief what the open line is about. We don't want to make it too too wordy. We just wanted to kind of ensure you that this is what the open line is all about. So showing where your passion started. So everyone in here is within a different field of media or similar fields, and it's all about where your passion started when it comes to your industry and bring an example to make it personal, right? So remember, this is part of your profile, your personal profile, right? So I'm going to show you now an example of a profile from one of our young people before and after. Then I'm going to get you to kind of have a look at that, skim it, and just have a little think about the differences that you see between the two. Then I'll get some volunteers to kind of discuss that as well. So this is a before and after open line. This is Aisha, one of our young people. And I just want you to kind of have a read between the two. And I'm going to go around the room and ask some volunteers to just kind of tell me the difference that you see. And obviously, it'd be good to kind of understand what everyone's picking up from this. The after is obviously what she's gone for. So I'll let you have a couple of minutes or so just to kind of look into that. Does that all sound good to everyone? Thumbs up, anything in the chat? Good. Really think about the keywords that you can see in the profile. It's the main thing that we're looking for as well. Okay, cool. All right, I've given you all a couple of minutes. Anything that anyone sort of took away from the before and after, what you can kind of see. I'm gonna I'm gonna go around and everybody to start responding to it. I'm gonna go fish out, start with you, and then I'll ask someone else as well. So, anything that you took away from this opening line, the difference you see between the two.
I've noticed that she in the new one she used BBC Studios, so that's sort of like a big influential production company that can be used to sort of like draw people in.
Hmm.
I also saw instead of saying just journalistic skills and writing articles, reporting and editing news stories, she sort of put everything in together by just saying news production. So it's a bit more of an open, wide sector in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, talking about the components of new production kind of ties into writing articles or, your reporting, your presenting, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, she kind of just made it a bit more just cleaner in a sense. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, thank you for that, Michelle. I'm gonna come to Sheik, I'm gonna come to you. Um, what difference did you see? Anything that you picked up from the opening line here? Any difference?
Um, I see some yeah, like some information really specific to her, like saying that she's from like ethnic minority household or and also like I really like that she included like really specific name of a studio saying like BBC so that it shows like yeah, like it's more concrete in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think so I know in the past I've had young people kind of say to me that, oh, I had like a work experience, like an insight day at X company. It could be a big company, small company, and it could be across like it could be maybe like 2 days, 3 days, whatever it could be. But that experience, just in that day, how many hours that might be, you might have learned something really valuable. So it's still valuable to put that down on your CV. And I think that's what we're talking to Aisha about, just in regards to it, it doesn't have to be something that's like, oh, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It can be something that's a couple of days or inside day, and you can still talk about what you learned from that. Just because of how intense that day could be or what you can learn and who you may have been shadowing, for example. So yeah, thanks for that, Shika. Cool. All right. So I'm just gonna go around the room, just to go around with you volunteers. I want you to understand what this session's about or what this area is about, open line. Think about showing where your passion started. So if everyone in the room is just having that in their mind, showing where your passions start when it comes to your area of media. I'm gonna go around the room and then I'm just gonna sort of just get volunteers to just talk about that, and then I'm gonna get into breakout rooms to work together, just to kind of you haven't got to jot your full open line, but it's just thinking about those certain bullet points that you can think, okay, I'm in music, so I went to X festival and I sort of came across the production side of how things are put together, or maybe the logistic sides of how things are put together in terms of uh sort of seeing that festival being put on and seeing my favorite artists, etc. I hope that's sort of making sense. But I'm just gonna go on. So Mark, I'll start with you. And I know you mentioned, just noting down what I've put down here. Uh and I can get to it. Obviously, creating writing, you said 10 years in the band, trying to
Yeah.
transition down to like digital marketing and that side of things. So I guess for you, it may be a bit different because what you might start doing is in that open line, you might talk about transition. So you've been into music, but then, sorry, not music, sorry, well, yeah, music, creative
Yeah.
writing, but then you transition. So I guess where did your passion start to then think about, okay, I now want to move into something a bit more maybe I guess it's a bit more like digital, practical, social, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. So for both things, it's a question about. I've always just been interested in storytelling, and at first the
Okay.
vehicle for that was songwriting.
Okay.
But then I realised that the music, like, I still love it, but I know that it's probably a labour of love now because it's just so hard. Like, I did try for ages, and things just went a bit mad. But so yeah, storytelling. You see storytelling at almost every aspect of society. Everything's kind of transactional.
Yeah.
Like when you look at Aisha's thing, that's the first thing that struck me. It's like the first one is it could be any journalism graduate. It's quite generic, but she personalises it. We get more informed about like how she experienced things as a child, and you know, like what informs her view of the world in a way,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which makes it more interesting. Like, and so that's how people spin yarns, basically, is what I'm interested in. That's what I like.
Cool. So like I guess yeah, just kind of tapping into your open line there, it feels as if you could tap into well, I guess you wanted to create a story for people through your music, but then also kind of seeing the bigger picture, which is how you're trying to move into digital marketing or the maybe advertising side. You
Mhm.
want to kind of see sort of the nuts and bolts of all that. So kind of like understanding how that side of things is done. Because maybe because you're just in the band, ideally maybe other people are doing that digital marketing side for you or that
Mhm.
advertising social media. You kind of want to see okay, how is it like when it comes to like promotion? I am the artist, but maybe the promotion,
Yeah.
the advertising, all those sort of things. And
Yeah.
obviously that can tie into the whole thing of you can talk about that. That can tie into the whole thing of like the storytelling, the narrative, the I guess the emotions and the visuals that you want people to kind of take away from the show that you put on. Is that
Mhm.
making sense?
Yeah, no, it makes
Yeah.
great sense. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'm gonna choose another volunteer. Kim, I'm gonna come to you. Um, and then we're gonna get into a few breakout rooms. So Kim, just in terms of like showing where your passion started, um, I guess I believe, yeah, you talk about politics. So yeah, you're doing
Yeah.
politics in uni in yeah, that's it. And then in Coventry, and then you want to get into marketing, right? I'm correct.
Yes.
Cool. So it feels as if it's going to be like a transition for you, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So I'm going to come back to this side, everyone, but I'm just going to come to this next side just for you because this is what will help you a bit. So because you're starting from scratch. So one thing I'm going to ask you is that with your open line showing your passion started, thinking about why you want to get into I say media, but we can say marketing for you. What do you consume? So with marketing, are you looking at YouTube stuff? Is it social media stuff? So is it Snapchat? Is it maybe you're going to like general shows? So like uh perhaps you could be one that goes to like plays, theatre, all that sort of stuff. Who knows? Depends. But are you practical, theoretical? So that's sort of things that you've got to think about here that would help you sort of put together this sort of where your passion started? So just to help you here, Kim, I guess what's that burning desire for you to go into marketing? Is it being spurred from a bit of politics, perhaps, or is it sort of like you're sort of wanting to step away from that and then kind of understand marketing, the bigger picture within a certain sector, if that makes sense?
So for me, my passion started from collaborating with businesses to promote their content. And then I realized that maybe I actually do want to be on the other side and like be in the marketing team and working with other people as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what you could kind of talk about is the whole aim of like well where your passion started from and kind of like what you enjoy doing, collaboration, building an idea, so ideation, also kind of coming from um a background where obviously politics there's laws, there's schemes, there's so many different things. You want to kind of be working with people from all walks of life, ensure that you can kind of have like a versatile sort of style to marketing because obviously if you're collaborating with businesses it could be like someone that's a lifestyle business, fitness, food, whatever that could be, right? So you're sort of just understanding obviously if you're working like in a food company then you work in like a clothing company, it's going to be different in terms of marketing, just in terms of like what the audience could expect but also what you might portray on the piece of paper then to put it out into the market, if that makes sense. So does that make sense in terms of like the collaboration style, the creative ideas, and
Yeah.
do you know what sort of style of marketing you want to get into in terms of like the sector yet, or you're still sort of, I guess that's figuring it out?
Yeah, I'm still figuring that out.
Okay, figuring out the sector. Okay. Okay, cool. Um, okay, cool. I just wanted to go around the room just to kind of give you all examples of that. And obviously when we get to the next activities, obviously we'll do the same thing. But does everyone sort of understand the open line, like how that sort of makes sense? And because I just want to get you all into breakout rooms to kind of work together as a pair and then sort of elaborate more on your open line so you can connect to each other. But I don't want you to go away and think and like, oh, I've got to write a full-blown open line. That's not it because post-session, post-workshop today, you'll have a one-to-one with me. You'll be able to build that open line to make it just like how Ash has it here. So don't worry about that. It's more so about you jotting down, well, where did my passion start? So why am I into graphic design or why am I into concept design? As Fisher, you said earlier, or why am I into this certain area of media? So it's just kind of bullet pointing these things, and then we kind of form those sentences at a later stage. Is that all making sense to everyone? Yeah. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is get everyone into breakout rooms, but I'm just gonna write this down here in terms of the activity. So I'll give you a bit of time in here. Open line, show where the passion started, and bring in an example to make it personal. Right. So just to kind of go back to what we are talking about, Kim was talking about collaboration. Um, and then you know, we've also talked about like Mark talking about storytelling, for example. So where did so when it comes to media, when it comes to your area, what really got you into sort of why you're doing what you're doing? That's what you have to think about, right? And then you can kind of really jot that down. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna get everyone into breakout rooms. Um, so I'm gonna create three breakout rooms. Okay, and I'm gonna leave you there. Has everyone about say is 10 minutes okay for everyone? Does that sound good for everyone? About 10 minutes or around that time? Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I will do that. So just put in breakout rooms now. Okay. Okay, cool. I'll get you all back in after and then we'll discuss and then we'll move on to the next activity, which would be called meet at the profile. Okay, cool. All right. I was just about to let you all back in. I guess you just came back automatically. 1 second. Let me just close all the rooms. Kim, Sheikha, how did you find that, by the way?
It was really interesting and getting to know her previous background and how she wants to like switch into something more creative.
Mm,
And she was also saying how my background in politics is could also be like a unique selling point for me.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I think also with politics, what you gotta understand is that obviously you're learning about like laws and all that sort of stuff, right? So just depending on like what you want to get into within marketing, right?
Hmm.
Um, so you could, so like for example, you could get into like legal and compliance and just like branding, for example, and
Hmm.
obviously like there's probably some transitional things that you can take from politics, maybe certain like policies and things that you've learned that you can then bring within that area, if that makes sense. So basically, it's like you can talk about, say you're on an interview, you can talk about there are certain I'm good with like learning about policies, about referendums, all that sort of stuff, like just different things that um might align with marketing in terms of like because there's obviously, like it's even like when you're so for example, I've worked on like TV for so many years. I've done like TV adverts.
Hmm.
I just came out of uni and there's something called Clearcast. So basically Clearcast is like it's like another version of like Ofcom, if that makes sense. So like you have to, so for example, when you're doing an advert, you have to go through Clearcast, basically meaning that your music, the wording of what people might say, it's like Red Bull gives you wings. Like you have to like all these sort of things. It has to be approved and stuff. So I'm just
Yeah.
kind of showcasing you like different programs that you might come across, that you've done in policy that you can, oh, I've done that sort of stuff. So I know that can be transferable
Okay.
transition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind,
Yeah.
definitely.
Cool. All right. So yeah, Shika, what did you sort of speak to Kim about? Because I know you spoke to Kim already about her stuff.
Yeah, like I just share my opening line that I made like a while ago, and yeah, I'm so glad it made sense. It's so nice to kind of share to some other people. And yeah, what I was thinking is like,
Mhm.
yeah, I included some background, like person background, like which country I was born and raised or something. So maybe
Uh,
I can keep that. And yeah, the thing I was talking with Kimberly is like, so I'm kind of trying to switch from marketer to some more creative director or something in the future. So
okay.
yeah, I don't know. We talked that maybe I can develop some like creative skills more because like I just maybe need to work on some Adobe skills or something because
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have much at this moment. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. When we get to there's something called the killer line, which is part of this profile section, and we can talk more about that. So you sort of talk about like developing marketing skills. Sorry, Adobe skills. Sorry. So
Mhm.
when we get to that, we can talk more about that because obviously you can talk about what you're trying to do to get to that level of getting to that director role or that creative element, that side of things. Okay, cool. Okay. Thanks for that. So I'm gonna go to Emma and Mark. So how did you both get on in your breakout room? What did you sort of speak about in your I know Mark, we spoke to you about your open line. So yeah, Emma, what did you sort of speak about to Mark, I'd say?
Yeah, so I just kind of spoke to Mark about like where the passion all began. Um, so I think for me, being a journalism student, like my passion for journalism kind of came from just like the fact that stories are told differently,
Hmm.
depending on like who's telling the story. Um, So yeah, I like literally just kind of gave Mark the example of like how like a US like election might be reported differently on Fox News compared to like CNN or something. So it's like we
Yeah.
have events that are the same like events that are being reported differently depending on like
different
political
channels, yeah.
perspective.
Depending on different
Yeah.
channels, they have a different way of. It's like BBC and ITV. Yeah, they
Hmm.
would report a bit differently. Channel 4, so that they have a
Yeah.
way of reporting. Yeah, so I get what you mean. So like, I guess that kind of ties into um you can kind of say the branding or the values of, or how the
Yeah.
brand sort of uh how they intend for the audience to take the information or receive the
Hmm.
information, that sort of thing. So yeah, different you can kind of call it different styles of like creating content, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I guess creating news packages, etc., that sort of thing. Yeah, okay, cool. It's interesting. Fischel and Mario, I'm gonna come to you. What did you both get talk about in regards to open life? Fischel, I'll start with you and then Mario, I'll ask you what you spoke about.
Yeah, so you also spoke about like where sort of things start with us. So for me, I know it's a bit cliche to say, but they did start from when I was young. Like I specifically like really enjoyed sort of horror films.
Okay.
So I'm really enjoying currently where like the sort of horror is going through at the moment, where it's come out of like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s of getting out of this typical slasher sort of like gimmicky jump scares and stuff like that, where it's kind of gone more into sort of atmospherical, slow burning, sort of creating more of an atmosphere of dread instead, which I think definitely has a bigger impact and long-lasting effect on audiences. So if anyone watched Hereditary, that's one of my favorite horror films. That is a really good, perfect example of sort of where horror's going into now.
Yeah.
Um, and one of my favorite filmmakers that I kind of wish to emulate is Guillermo del Toro. So I don't know if anyone's watched like Hellboy or any of those types of films, but like it kind of also goes into more of like why I kind of want to shift more into concept design, because I do really enjoy like his character design and creature design. So that's why I sort of like decided, okay, you know what, I think it's best if I just start teaching myself anatomical sketching so I can sort of put my ideas more into like a physical format so that I can
Mhm.
get those ideas across better. And then yeah, Mario also talked about that his whole passion started from specifically like Pixar movies. I think he said one of his favorite was Toy Story 3, and that he enjoyed yeah, that sort of aspect of like storytelling and like world building as well. And yeah, that he sort of wants to get into as well.
Okay. Storytelling and world building. Okay, cool. All right. Now that sounds really interesting. Because in terms of like what you said actually, Michelle, is like yeah, if we go back to like scary movie days and like Halloween and that sort of thing, and how that was the slasher stuff, and then it got a bit like a horror movie's going to change. Is there going to be anything different? So I think when
Mm.
I saw stuff like Annabelle, and things like that, there was like or like The Nun. I think that The Nun is a really good horror film, and it has that sort of like spook effect, but still has the story behind it, with faith and all that sort of stuff, beliefs and the themes around it. So I understand exactly where you're coming from because even with what you're talking about, creature design, obviously the Nun, there's part of that, and then obviously Mario, obviously as like you said with him, Toy Story 2 welding, all that sort of stuff. It's really interesting because that character design is people sometimes the audience might they they might take it for granted sometimes. You watch the film, but you might not actually really appreciate that. But then also, like when you see it, like, oh, like that really is interesting. Like it's like looking at Transformers or that sort of stuff. So that's really interesting that you both tapped into a specific movie or something that you've watched, and then you kind of talked about okay, but you've also talked about the transition of how things have moved. With particular genre like horror. And I think that's good to talk about because that's what you're into, and of course you can tie it into other genres as well, that you might be into.
Mm.
Cool. Okay, cool. Mary, did you want to say anything, or was that all good and Fisher's side in terms of what he mentioned? Just double checking.
Um, yeah, that's more or less what I said. Just interested in the like I mentioned in general like animation stuff, but yeah, if I had to specifically pick one thing that inspired me, it's the stylized 3D cartoony style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Perfect. Okay, cool. How did everyone find that? All good? Makes sense in terms of that open line of the profile, just kind of like where your passion started and sort of why you're doing what you're doing. Um, if I can get a thumbs up, so I'll move on to the next bit, and then at least I know that we're all clear on that. Cool. Okay. So let's get into the next bit, which is the meat of the profile. So some of you kind of have sort of slowly tapped into this, but the meat of the profile is all about what makes you curious. So this follows on from the opening line. What makes you curious about what you love doing? So where's your curiosity coming from? So for example, I'm into film, I love special effects, I love the narrative. I love that I can you can manipulate audience through camera angles, shots, movements, that sort of thing. Don't want to give too much away, but kind of give you an example of what you can expect when it comes to what makes you curious. But I'm going to again show you an example from Aisha, before and after. Then I want you to kind of like dissect it a bit, and then we're going to go around the room and then think about that meeting the profile and what makes you actually curious about what you love doing. So here's an example from Aisha, in terms of the meet the profile. I want you to have a little skim of it, and then we'll just talk about that really, really briefly in regards to the meat of the profile.
Oh, my camera's on. Well,
No, your camera's on, yeah. Well, this is a bit of a short one, the media profile here. Has anyone got taken away anything from what Aisha said here, before and after? What differences you can kind of see? All right, I'm gonna choose a volunteer. Kim, I'll go to you. Is there anything that you take away from this in regards to Aisha's media profile?
I think in the second one, she makes it more detailed and it also sounds more professional as well.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of detail professional, what areas are you speaking more about then? What would you say?
She talks about her working with the BBC specifically
Mhm.
and um exactly what happened about the idea coming together for the news program and how that allowed her to grow her curiosity.
Yeah, so it's just talking about like I guess the components combined, like sort of the areas that intrigued her while she was shadowing producers, etc., which is really, really
Mm.
important. The top point is not a bad meet the profile, but we kind of tap more into that in the killer line just to kind of give you understanding and how she shows that. But yeah, exactly what you said there, Kim. Anyone else kind of get anything from the meet the profile? The differences they've seen. And then Mario, I'll come to you. Mario, I'll come to you. Anything that you picked up from the meet the profile? Can you hear me, Mario?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't really think of anything else, other than, yeah, she gave a specific example by mentioning
Yeah.
the BBC.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what it is really, everyone. Just like a specific example where she has followed on from the opening line, meet the profiles here, and ideally she just talks about the components of news. So if it's reporting or writing, if it's putting together a whole idea, brainstorming an idea, for example. So I'm gonna go around the room. I'm just gonna choose volunteer in regards to the meeting the profile and think about the big thing here, and I'm just gonna write inside in the chat box. Made what makes you curious? What makes you curious about what you do? So really think about your curiosity. So like why? So when you're doing something, it's like, oh, that's what makes you curious. So it's let's say, for example, you could be someone that is you could be a graphic designer, right? And I'm just trying to think if I've got anything here that's graphic design. But here we go. We've got like a little design here, if you can kind of see that. And it's basically a yard sale pizza, scratch the slice. Um, uh, get a voucher, but they've got like a design on here, and maybe perhaps you picked up on this, and you're like, oh, you like the typography, you like the color schemes, uh, the fine details, all those sort of things. So that's what makes you curious about, what you do as a graphic designer, for example. So I'll go around the room, and then obviously we'll get into breakout rooms again and then talk about that. So I'm gonna go to Shika, I'll come to you. Just in regards to what makes you curious about what you love doing. So obviously you talked about, I'm correct here. Let's see what I've got here. You talked about, yeah, marketing to creative director. So you want to learn a bit more Adobe skills and stuff. So
Hmm.
so let's talk about what makes you curious about, I guess,
Yeah.
getting to that area of the
Right.
creative director. Yeah.
Um, so while I was doing marketing, okay, at that time I really loved, I don't know how to say, but like I kind of enjoyed the moment of finding the like secret of the like market or something. But the reason I want to be on more creative side is like because like I want to commit to the outcome maybe, and also I'm really interested in how like those marketing insight connects to the result, I think. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I'll give you an example. Let's just say, we haven't got. I'm going to use our Instagram for example. So, we've just posted something recently of one of our young people that got on a job with one of our partners, or one of our sponsors actually, sponsors Yarsel Pizza,
Mhm.
and you talk about moment of finding the secret of marketing. So we've kind of posted this in the sense where it has a name on the side, it has um the photo she took for Yato Pizza, and then obviously it's quite colorful, and it just kind of shows like a story, right? You can
Mhm.
kind of feel that you're in her shoes, or you're sort of part of that journey. And then you're talking about how it connects to the results. So basically it's sort of like seeing her do that gig of taking photos for Yato Pizza party. Um, you're then feeling, oh, like I feel I was there, I was part of that process, and then I'm now receiving it as an audience. So obviously when you're talking about results, it's sort of like how the audience take it in and kind of think about how they um how they're looking for the next thing from that in terms of the marketing sort of element of things. And reactions, emotions, all those sort of things really ties in really well. So yeah, it is making sense what you're saying. Commit to the outcomes in terms of what are you trying to achieve from posting that TikTok or that something on Instagram, or perhaps that reel that you're about to put out, or even doing something, out in the open in public, for example.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, that does make sense.
Mhm.
Um, cool. Okay. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get everyone to breakout rooms again. And I just want you to have a little think about, and I'm just gonna go back one just so you can see what I'm talking about here. What made you curious about what you love doing, right? So again, this is just expanding from your opening line to explain your point, but explain what makes you curious. So think about the word curious. So, you know, um, there's so many things within TV and film, or if you're into advertising, if you're into branding, if you're into graphic design or gaming, for example. what makes you curious. So, for example, if we're with gaming, you could be someone that's really curious about how the characters are built, so how things are put together, how is it that or even the movement of characters, for example. And then with makeup, you're intrigued about how you can allow a transition to be put together to be able to have someone be on screen and make a have that align with a product to make it to actually bring it to life, all those sort of things. So again, it's just kind of like why you're doing what you're doing, but what makes you actually curious? Like what do you enjoy most? Like it's like, oh, like I'm editing, but I'm just big on the whole thing of I've got attention to detail and I love like the whole keyframe side of things. Everyone knows what keyframes are, just so I'm not talking out of tone. The keyframes is basically if you're just like editing, you can like you know change the sound and you can move it about gets higher, gets lower, that sort of thing. So again, I'm just kind of using a bit of media keywords here, but I'm just kind of like giving you an example. But is that all making sense to everyone? Like what makes you curious about what you love doing? Just to kind of get into breakout rooms and talk about that. All good. If you put a thumbs up, then I know I can get you into breakout rooms. If anyone has any questions, then I can take them there. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna get everyone to breakout rooms now. Just change up a bit. So I'll move 3, 2, 1, and then okay, so, okay. I'm just changing a few things to okay, cool. I'm gonna open rooms now, and then I'll give you like 10 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and talk about this stuff here. I'll meet the profile. Cool. Okay. Cool. Was that enough time for everyone in there? Just double checking. Fingers crossed it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just waiting for Emma and Michelle to come back. I'll start with Kim and Mark. You were both in the breakout room. So how did that go in terms of the meeting the profile? What you both spoke about in regards to what makes you curious. Kim, I'll start with you, then I'll go to Mark, if that's okay.
Who both basically had something very similar.
Hmm.
And mine was specifically walking into shops and observing their products placement and how strategic they are with the way that everything's placed.
Okay, product placement.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there specific shops you walked into? Like, is it just basically just, you know,
I'd say like local supermarkets like Tesco, Sainsbury's.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. I like that. That's really cool. Okay. Where do you shop though? That's the key element. Um, nah,
Oh.
Um, cool. Okay, now that's really interesting because what you've done there is you've taken a real life experience and put it into your story to kind of say, actually, well, this is sort of what my lived experience has been, and kind of understanding why something's in a certain place. So, for example, I guess when you're talking about the product placement side of things, it's sort of like why X is at top shelf and why something's here, and why there's maybe the pricing element is this much, or sort of that sort of thing. If I'm making sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Mark, I'm gonna come to you. So what did you speak to Kim about in regards to your media profile?
Just yeah. Uh, just like what interesting thing about the product placement stuff that for a marketing perspective is like you try and figure out what makes people tick. Whereas like film and TV and literature and things like that, they ask more the question like why do we tick?
Yeah,
Uh, so it's like both things interest me. Like brands that I was saying, some brands enrich, some brands are really cool. They like make people's lives better. It's
yeah.
like do they tune into that, like the emotion into people, it makes them want to choose their brand over another. And that's the aspect of marketing that I'm curious about, like brand development, I suppose.
Okay, cool. I like that you said like what makes people. Can you kind of say like what makes people buy or like have a reaction to the certain, you could say, advertisement or
Yeah.
scheme that someone's put on, that sort of thing. I guess like everything that you do. So like even like, some of you may come through Eric and kind of like maybe the way we advertise CV Workshop was inviting or whatever it could be, how whatever you took away from that. But yeah, again, yeah. So people think about emotions, they buy into people, the brand, on the brand development. So that's key because everyone has a meaning. It could be a motive, it could be uh the reason behind why you're doing something a certain way, and how you're obviously attracting your audience as well. So that's really key as well, like target audience when you think about brand development and how you're probably even shifting to ensure that you can meet the right audience and stuff. So yeah, that's really key. All right, that's interesting. Cool. All right. Uh, Emma and Visha, I'm going to come to you. So what did you speak of? So Emma, I'll start with you, and then Visha, I'll come to you after. That's all good.
Yeah, so no, I think I was just kind of telling Vishal about like how I'm curious about which stories get put on like mainstream media. So for example, like when it comes to like conflicts and like wars, it's like you'll hear more about certain ones that are happening in like particular countries or regions. So for example, like I know like a prominent example was like the Russia and Ukraine war.
Yeah,
And then like the Tigray region conflict that was also kind of like happening.
Yeah.
But it's like we heard more about like the Russia-Ukraine conflict than we did about the Tigray region conflict. And it's just kind of like why was there that disparity? And yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm just curious about
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I get exactly where you're coming from because I done broadcast journalism from university, so I know that a lot of the time when we were doing like news days and stuff, there was a whole thing of what's the angle of your story? Why reporting X story instead of the other one? And with
Yeah.
news, they're very it's very particular or specific. Like, okay, so this is happening. So if we can align that story with this story, it makes a lot of sense why to put that one first, and then this one
Mhm.
comes second in the bulletin, and then maybe we
Yeah.
put that as a sub story, and so you got your main story, then you got this. So yeah, so I get where
Yeah.
you're coming from, but and kind of talking about just why you're intrigued as to like why a certain story is pushed more than others. And sometimes actually as a journalist, you look at it like you've obviously got to stay impartial, but like
Yeah.
that should be out there more than that story. And but of course
Mhm.
you learn about all these things. But yeah, no, that's interesting that you talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Visha, I'm gonna come to you. What did you speak to Emma about? And then Mario and Sheik, I'll come to you in a second. Yeah.
Yes, I was just discussing that what really got me curious into I guess film and now kind of going into more of like concept design is that I've always been interested in like ancient mythologies and like ancient civilizations and those sort of stories being translated into like physical media and like on-screen media. Um, so a lot of like, I mean, for example, like Greek mythology, they always do the same story of like Zeus having a son and then the son having to go through like for example Hercules. That's sort of like a story that's I feel like it's kind of been done so many times when just as Greek mythology as an example, like there's so many other different aspects to that whole mythology that I think is pretty cool to like look into. And if you want to go, if I want to go more into like the horror route, there are certainly aspects of that mythology that's not only fantastical but is definitely terrifying. That can be, I think, really good into being translated into a really good like atmospherical sort of horror film.
Yeah.
So I guess going off on what Emma said of like underrepresented stories, like I kind of want to do more of like stories from different mythologies, like Greek and even like ancient Mesopotamian stories of those sort of like bringing that onto media and like going and creating like my own versions of what I interpret as like these gods, these creatures, these goddesses, these different folklore things, and trying to put that onto a physical screen.
Okay, cool. So it kind of feels as if you want to bring um even it could be like previous identities or like new identities, bring onto screen, show people what it means and what it's all about, that sort of thing, and kind of do it in your own sort of way. Um, yeah, okay, cool. That sounds really cool. All right. Mario and Sheik, I'm gonna come to you, and then we're gonna go into the next bit, and then we'll talk about post workshop what's going to happen. So yeah, Mario, what did you speak to Sheik about in regards to the killer sorry, meet the profile, I should say.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, Mario, you can go first and Sheik, you can go after.
yeah. Um, I spoke about like in our storytelling aspect of animation and just um like bringing characters to life and making them feel interesting and unique and that kind of thing.
Okay, to life, making it for unique and interesting. Okay. So like when you even talk about making them feel unique and interesting, it's kind of like leaving the lasting effect on the audience, I guess.
Yeah, like making the audience, I guess, care about like a character or something and making the movement interesting. All the acting and storytelling aspect of it as well.
Yeah, yeah. So like having like an emotive feeling towards a character.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's just like
definitely.
it's like Toy Story, like oh God, I haven't got my keys here. I wish I did actually. I've got like Buzz Lightyear on my car keys. So like it's kind of like obviously something will always stick with you. with some of these films that you might watch. But yeah, it's kind of like, again, that has left a lasting effect on me. It's like, oh, like what's that here, et cetera, et cetera. But cool. No, it makes perfect sense. Okay. Sheik, I'm gonna come to you, and then we're gonna move into the killer line where we can do it, the killer line actually in the session here. Just as that's the last bit of the profile. Okay, cool. So, Sheik, what did you speak to Mario about?
Yeah, yeah. Like, so yeah, I shared my situation and my interest, but also like I really like that he's interested in like creating characters to life, which I thought was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's not like relevant, I don't know, but I was really kind of impressed that he studies like new skills online. So I wondered if those kind of like things you're trying to get could be on my CV as well. I don't know. Like, yeah, I just thought about like those as yeah, new perspective, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think obviously you talk about like marketing, going to creative direction and stuff. So yeah, I guess when we get into the next bit, could talk more about the skills you're trying to acquire, understand exactly how I guess processes will probably be good for you, kind of understanding like the process behind things and
Mm.
why things are done a certain way. And because earlier you talked about like committing to the outcome and all that sort of stuff. So um, it will kind of tie into your understanding about why you've got to learn a certain program to understand why X, Y, Z works a certain way and why things come together in a certain way,
Mm.
etc. If it's Adobe you're using, or if it's Canva, CapCut, whatever it could be, for example, what editing tool you might use, design tool you might use, for example. Okay, cool. I believe I've gone for everyone there. Does that all make sense to everyone in terms of the meet the profile? We have like the last little bits to go through, and then I'll let you all sort of head off. This session will finish at 8:30. All makes sense to everyone in terms of meet the profile? All good? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, um, let's get into the next, which is basically called the killer line. This is something that we can actually do in the session. So I'm going to get everyone to actually just jot this down in the chat box and we can discuss. So the killer line is basically now formalizing the actual profile and basically finishing it off. The killer line is all about one thing that you are currently doing, so present, one thing that you have done, past, one thing that you plan to do, future, to personally develop yourself and make sound from the crowd. So you can use past, present, or future. Just remember that. So it's either one or the other. You can combine present and future, but we tend to say use one or the other. So just think about past, present, or future, right? To personally develop yourself. So here's a killer line from Aisha. Just again looking at that, I want you to just kind of have a little think about, I'll use a volunteer and have a little think about, oh, like what do you see here? What difference do you see? And then I'll let you all kind of just think about what you're going to use, and you can jot that in the chat box. Um, and we can talk about the killer line. So just have a little think about this. And then I'll go around the room just to think about what you've kind of taken away from um, Aisha here. Just think about the other things we spoke about earlier. Um, when it comes to open line, meet the profile, then we have to kill a line now. Okay, I'm gonna pause it there. In regards to the killer line here, obviously Aisha's got two different versions, before and after. Um, I'm gonna come to Kim. I'm gonna come to you. Just in regards to what differences do you see in regards to before and after? Um, what Aisha's obviously put together. Uh, and why you think that certain changes been made. If that makes sense.
Sorry, was it me that you mentioned?
Yeah, sorry, Kim. Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So what
Um,
difference do you see? Yeah, and why the change been made?
so she's more specific and she uses examples in the second one.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, yes, that's exactly it. So she now talks about the things that well, one, she talks about things that she has done, and then also things that she's currently doing right now. So she kind of put in the employer in a driving seat in a sense where this is what I'm doing to kind of create my own work experience in a sense, um,
Mm.
and even just how she's trying to learn different ways in terms of reporting stories that are topical and um, that are necessary and big for society as well. So yeah, no, definitely. Anyone else? Anyone else get anything from this? No? Okay, cool. All right. So what I want to do is just I want you to use the chat room because we're coming near to the end of the session, and I'm going to talk to you about other areas of what you can expect post session as well. So I want you to use the chat room just to think about what Aisha said here, but also just going back one is basically thinking about if you were to write your killer line, what version would you use, past, present, or future? So just think about maybe you're in university, maybe you just finished university, perhaps you're looking for that next role. So an example could be this. You might put down your killer line. I'm currently learning new programs to build my skill set within Maya. So it could be like different design things, Adobe, or perhaps you're going to different networking events, trying to shadow different producers, directors on short films. Is it making sense, everyone? So kind of like just like that, that's what you're currently doing, or maybe something that you have done. Maybe you're a journalist, you've written an article, you've done whatever that could be. So I just want you to think about that in the chat box, and I'll leave you just to kind of write that in there. Um, in the chat box there. And as you're doing that, I am going to go through the next bit so that we can kind of come back to the killer line. So when I see you all kind of write down what your killer line could be, so you might say you're going to use past, present, or future. So I'll write in here. So decide whether you use past, present, or future. Right. So just like how Aisha's done. So Aisha's obviously used a bit of both. She's used past and present. So you can do that. And then I want you to jot that down in that chat box there. But as you do that, I'll be going through the session, just kind of showing you what's happened with Aisha now and then where other people are at. And then also the key skills element, the cover letter element as well, of the CV session. Does that all make sense, everyone? Yeah, all good. Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So as you're doing that, we'll come back to that, the killer line, and discuss that just near the end. But just to show you what Aisha's profile looks like now, this is how her profile looks like, a full profile, right? And you might look at it and say, oh, that looks like really a lot of words or looks like a big paragraph. Just to let you know, this is Canva, so we've just filled the page. Obviously, on a normal CV, it will look a bit more different. So it's just a couple of lines, really. We just made it big font and stuff. That's all. So don't worry about that. But yeah, this is how her profile looks like. And in terms of Aisha and where she is right now, she is now at Sky News, which is a big blessing because Aisha did start in obviously she went uni and she was looking for like opportunities and stuff. So she started in a traineeship at Sky News and now she's an assistant producer. So she's actually producing at Sky News. So she's She'd be working throughout the night, her through the day, so she's pretty busy, a proper journalist. And yeah, she's enjoying every bit of it. So it's great to see that, her dreams come true, and obviously she's doing what she loves as well. Um, cool. So that's Aisha. I'm just going to showcase you a few other things as well throughout the session. As you feel free again, like I said, to multitask and obviously use the chat box when we talk about the killer line. What you can see here is just some of our young people that are Dan approved, and what you obviously came through the donate what you can scheme to make it accessible to all young creatives, freelancers in the industry. Some of our young people have work on obviously some primetime TV shows. You can see The Apprentice and The Repair Shop there. And we will be working on The Apprentice again pretty soon, possibly more in the new year, perhaps, I believe. So again, as we continue to build more Dan approved young people, we want to get more Dan approved young people on our work, obviously. This is just some success stories we want to showcase you. So this is some young people that have come in the past. So we have Evie here who landed our paid opportunity through one of our partners, Creative Portal. So she does a bit of so she's into like some illustration. So she's on like a visual CV. I still have not put on the visual CV, so that's something I'm going to do for the next session. To kind of show you her actual work because it's really cool what she done. And then we have Aoife who is into graphic design. She got hired as the junior designer, and you can kind of see from her Mac, she's really big on design. And yeah, we obviously she came to a session and we worked with her on different things in that one-to-one session that you will all be getting very soon. So if you got hired on that, and then Valeria landed the interview for an agency, a comms agency, so in Ents Arts and Culture. So that was big for her because she's kind of come from a whole different background. She's actually come from a different country and come here and kind of like just understand what London's all about. And for her to get that, she actually signed up to one of our very early sessions. I think our first ever one actually like last year in October. So it's good to see that she managed to get interviewed. Kind of builds the confidence as well. All right, cool. So that's that few success stories. And then kind of just showcasing you the last bits, like I spoke to you about the key skills bit. So again, sessions been recorded so you can take notes and just kind of understanding what this is all about. So what you can see here is a toolkit at which you will get. You'll get obviously other resources as well. And what you can see here is key skills. So when you write your key skills in your CV, we tend to say that you should put a point, example, and explanation. So kind of like what makes you adaptable, what makes you someone that is determined, what makes you someone that is hard work and willing to learn. And we showcase this. So we're going to give you a template for that on our CV. But also you might have space to do this. So it's always okay if you're saying you're adaptable or you're someone that's a team player, you need to showcase this in your work experience. How have you shown that you're adaptable? Because what we've realized in the past before is that some young people might say they're all these things, but they don't show it. And then they just think, oh, I'm going to put that down and actually an employer will like that word that, I can work with the pressure or I'm flexible, these sort of things. So you want to be able to showcase how you're those things all in one sitting. Does that make sense, everyone? Just want to make sure I'm not talking at everyone. If you give me a thumbs up from the key skills element, all that sort of stuff. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. All right, so just the next bit here is the cover letter. You're going to receive this as well in your emails very soon, post your one-to-one session with myself. But this is what a cover letter, sort of the template would look like, what you can expect in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. You actually get a cover letter template in terms of like your name goes there, company address goes there, and what you can expect from paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just kind of showcasing you because we've understood that a lot of young people find it very hard to put together a cover letter, and it's just kind of like just to give you an example of what you can expect. So you'll get this, but also an actual cover letter, like an actual cover letter, like a written one that will showcase you exactly how it should be written in that sense. Does that all make sense about cover letters to everyone? Any questions on that just before I move from cover letter? Because I know some people sometimes have questions on cover letters and just you might be in a position where you're applying for something right now and you might have a question. Okay, if you have no questions now, it's okay. You can always ask in the one-to-one or on email, so it's completely fine. Um, cool. Okay. So just to kind of showcase you what happens next post the workshop. So you come to the session. We hope you've enjoyed it, first of all. But you'll get personalized support in creating your CV profile. A one-to-one Zoom call with myself, post workshop financial CV. So Nicole, who's our comms team leader, she'll be getting in contact with you next week to let you know my availability, and you'll have one-to-one with myself sometime this month. And then there's also additional support for searching for opportunities and access to mentors. What that means is basically within your area of media, it could be music, film and TV, journalism, branding, gaming, whatever that could be, we'll be able to give you places to look for work. So that means that it's all tailored to you, and at least you don't have the access route in terms of knowing where to look for opportunities. I'm just going to the next slide, which is our Dan approved community. So what this means is that we will get you in this community when we get your profile all finalized and stuff. This basically means you're going to be in a WhatsApp group. There's every Monday opportunities get put in this WhatsApp group. So film, TV, gaming, graphic design, branding, whatever it could be, right, that we receive. We're building a community of young creatives, and we believe that as we keep doing these events, we're able to, one, engage with lots of different young creatives, freelancers from walks of life. We've met young people from all places, London, Manchester, Birmingham, Newcastle, list goes on, Liverpool, some that have been abroad. So we're trying to ensure that we build a diverse and inclusive workforce, where when we speak to companies, they're able to actually say, we want to be able to work with the Talks and Talent because we've been able to train you guys and help you get to that next step of your career. So this is the mentoring side of things we're talking about. There's an eligibility criteria. We work with Create Mentor Network, and just showcasing you what you can expect from Create Mentor Network. Nicole will send you more details about this, about mentoring. Now, if you're not eligible, it's okay because Create Mentor Network do some amazing events. They do amazing schemes that are also available for anyone else if you're outside the age bracket or if you're not eligible in a sense of what they're looking for. So don't worry about that. Also, we're here to support you as well. So, it's just basically we've teamed up with Create Mentor Network to make sure you can get some sort of mentoring program post session. Cool. All right. Is it all making sense, everyone? All good? I believe everyone's smiling behind their cameras, hopefully. I can see Emma smiling, so I believe everyone else is smiling. Okay. So I'm just gonna showcase you the next bit.
Okay.
So, it's not just me showcasing you what our young creators eating brownies, but as you may well know, we're sponsored by Yard Sale Pizza. So if this is an in-person event, obviously you would receive these amazing brownies. But it's just to showcase you that some of our young people come to our in-person events. So you can scan this QR code, follow Yard Sale Pizza. You can say you come to a Talk Stand event and grab yourself some pizza. Obviously, they are based in London. And they have lots of different branches. So I'm just going to showcase you some of their what young person thought about the brownies that we get from Yard Sale Pizza. Really good brownies as well. I'm making them hungry now. I feel guilty. I'm very sorry.
Okay. That's right. No, good. Yeah. But that is good. You know how you know it's good? I was on a diet. You know it's good? When it's cold and it's still good. And in the middle. We love it. We love you, y'all. Selfies.
Okay, so if you scan that code, obviously, you can it'll go to the RSL Pizza Instagram website, and then you can follow them and obviously enjoy their pizza. And I'm sure if you mention us, they will look after you, as we are sponsored by them, and we're always building our partnership more with them as well. Just to go to this section here, as you know, you came through a donate what you can scheme, so you will come on Eventbrite and donate what you can, ideally, to the event. This is another QR code just to say if you felt that the session was really, really useful, you can support us with coffee. So it's sort of like, just a thanks for the event and, just buying us a coffee, basically, as if we were to meet up on one-to-one, that sort of thing. So I basically left, also, if you haven't got your phones out, I've left like an actual link in the chat as well. If you want to support us as well with that, just sort of saying, oh, Dan, it was a really cool session, stuff like that. And yeah, completely up to you guys. Cool. All right. So happy notes to get distracted by the GIF as well. Cool. So just to kind of wrap up from the session, and we're gonna go back into that killer line bit as I promised. I hope everyone sort of understood everything in terms of the open line media profile, the killer line, the cover letter, the key skills, elements, and stuff. Um, I hope that's all been really helpful. I hope everyone really enjoyed that. But we're gonna go back into Killer Line, then we'll wrap up from the session. So just I know everyone hasn't really put anything in there. I think everyone's sort of got lost, but I think we can really go through the room that's volunteers and just kind of say, just kind of get an understanding of the killer line, and then again in the one-to-one that you have with me, we can talk more about the killer line if that works, everyone. So Fisher, I'm gonna go to you, and then I'm gonna go to Mark after, just in terms of the killer line, and then we'll wrap up, and then hopefully we'll have a really good session. Cool. So Fisher, I'll go to you in terms of the killer line. I feel like I'm speaking forever. And then basically sort of are you using past, present, or future in regards to your killer line?
So I've got a bit. I wasn't quite sure what side to go for with my killer line, because I could talk about the past, which in regards to my uni sort of experience, because I specialized in producing. So I could talk about that, or I could talk about like the present of me trying to shift more into more of a concept design and me teaching myself anatomical sketching.
Okay.
So I was a bit not sure how to like I guess approach that in a way.
Okay, so what you could say is that so the way I start that is the killer line the killer line for you will kind of say during my time at uni, comma, I specialized in XYZ, but now trying to transition into concept design in character creation of dot dot dot. Does that make sense? So it's just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
just kind of so you're basically making it really brief, but you're bringing the past, and then sort of even the transition you're making, you're bringing that present into play as well, which employers would appreciate, because you're kind of, because sometimes you come from uni and you've done something, and then you're also saying I really liked what I've done there, but still at the same time I actually want to kind of establish this area as well. So then you're kind of showcasing your versatility as well. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, I'll come to you, and then I promise I'll let everyone go. I know I've gone a bit over.
Yeah, so probably start with the past, like how I was did music for a long time, but now I kind of, like you were saying, want to transition and uh, find out more about the marketing side of the business. And I'll probably say that I'm doing some self-development on LinkedIn or something like that, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I'll
Yeah,
actually need to do something though, because I've not been doing much, but I will.
yeah.
But something like that
I
would
like that though,
would do.
the self-development side of things, because even I've noted that down myself. I try to do my self-development as much as I can, like dedicate like not a day to that, but like maybe like an hour or half an hour or something, just kind of like just learning about new things. And I think even if you mention that in your killer line, it's good because it shows that you're reevaluating yourself. You're teaching yourself new things. You're building new skills as well, and that also shows that an employer will look at that and say, okay, Mark's the sort of person that if he comes to a company, he wants to be able to improve, always want to see better, even help others improve, that sort of thing. So basically, what I'm saying here is that they'll see that and take different traits from that and see the sort of person you are, so that you can kind of spread that seed within the room, that sort of thing. So yeah, cool. Okay, I hope that all makes sense in terms of the killer line for everyone. But again, like I mentioned, I hope first of all you've enjoyed that session. I know I've gone a bit over, but I hope you found it really valuable and really useful. Thank you for attending the session. You've all been amazing. It's been a great group. We're meant to have more, but it happens. But Nicole will be in touch with you next week. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow, just kind of give me like a thank you for coming to the session. We'll send you a feedback form as well, just to kind of just see what you thought of the session. And yeah, we'll be in touch next week. So thank you very much. Any burning questions? Anything? Any answer questions as well? All good.
Thanks very much, Dan. Appreciate it, man. It's
No
good.
worries. Thank you. Before anyone goes, you can also put your like socials or your LinkedIn's and stuff in there just to connect if anyone wants to do that. Vishal, raise your hand. Yeah, you had a question.
So I'm not sure if you already mentioned this, but did you say this presentation will be emailed to us?
Yeah, so it's recorded. So this is all recorded. You're gonna get that as a PDF document, and it'll be password protected. And then you can obviously look back at it, and then obviously yeah, just kind of take notes or whatever you need to do, and then we'll be in touch with you in regards to the one-to-one and the next steps, and like being in the group chat and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let me love and leave everyone. But yeah, you've all been amazing. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to be part of this session. God bless. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Guys, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.